I'll start with Keith. Keith, you're, like I said, in the epicenter in Seattle of the virus and what's going on. Tell us what's happening to you in your area locally, what's happening in Seattle, how it's affecting you, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, yes, this is one of the epicenters. There are several in the country. This has the distinction of being the oldest one. And Washington State has been under lockdown for over a week. And I really couldn't tell you what's been going on because I have not been going anywhere. I'm busy with the my own blog, trying to write what I can and follow and learn as much as I can because I'm using this as an opportunity to get our messages out. And it definitely has a lot to do with doom and collapse. So it's interesting. Right now, I'm more worried about it coming over the mountain passes back into Washington than it leaving Washington because we've got our stuff together, whereas the rest of the country is way behind, in my opinion. And lack of direction from the top, from a national level, has caused huge delays. It's going to cost more money in the long run. Huge hit to the economy, far more than is going to be necessary with competent management. But fortunately, we got some governors who seem to be behind the ball and we've got a lot of wise people who have been following, the guidelines and trying to get the message out. Personally, I wasn't following it all up that well, but a couple of weeks ago, I just decided, okay, I've got to learn about this, and I just did deep dive epidemiology, and I knew a bit about it already, and the details about all this. So I came up to speed very fast, and then I got very angry at the idiocy that seems to be prevailing everywhere else. So that's where I am. So
yeah, it is remarkably stupid what is happening here on so many levels that I doubt we can cover them all in one broadcast. But we'll try. At least touch on most of the stuff. Okay, Monster, we'll cross the pond to your place in jolly old England, and why don't you give us the latest and updates there? You gave us some update when you came on with me, I don't know, a week ago or something like that. But things are changing so rapidly now. They're changing rapidly here, like by the day. Why don't you tell me what's the latest from London?
So basically, like at the moment, unsurprisingly, London is the epicenter of the United Kingdom. I think it's got about a third of the cases in all of the UK. And just to put that into perspective, the UK has about 20,000 cases. Although I should probably put an asterisk on that figure because testing has been quite limited, and it's limited pretty much to people admitted to hospitals. So nobody really knows the true scale of the problem. We've been on lockdown, enforced lockdown, since Monday. Although there was an advisory lockdown a week before. So we just have to see how things are going. Initially, there was like a lot of people using the underground and public transport when they didn't need to do. I think it's going down since, but really we don't know. It's like, I think the next few weeks, they're expecting a big surge in the hospital demand. So it's a case of wait and see a little bit. Yeah.
Right. And with the hospital demand and so forth, it's, when do you reach the Italian level of, dysfunction, if you will, where, they're simply so far beyond capacity now that they've lost control.
Did any of you guys see the Spain video that came out yesterday?
I read an article that they're now they've stiffened up their lockdown. but I haven't seen any videos on Spain yet. No. What was it in?
It was a video that came out from Madrid, and it was a person on the phone with a doctor saying how they were having to take people 65 and over off respirators. Well, not off, but not give them respirators.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very emotional thing that was taken down. And I had it posted on my website for a while. There is a piece of it that was snagged and put into Dr. John Campbell's, which Monsa should know. He's a guy who I put on my blog a lot in this, and he has kind of a health show, and he's doing a daily report. Things are the hospitals seem to have been being down. They've run out of, they're overloaded, and there has been a little bit of that happening here, but it's certainly not as bad as what's been happening, at least in Spain.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think it's going to be a common scene, because I heard in Italy now, like obviously people are aware they're overwhelmed, but they're making it a thing. They said anyone over 60 is not going on a ventilator. That's what they're saying now. We're only reserving our hospital equipment for people we think have got a good chance of surviving. Because the thing to remember is some people, they can be on a ventilator for 2 or 3 weeks and then they just die. So
Right.
It's like a waste of resources. And I think that's something that a lot of people are not aware of in the public.
Yeah, it's a triage situation. They have to, say who has the best chance of survival, and the old folks, the sickly, the disabled, etc. They're all the high risk people that they're going to get the disease first of all, and then they're the ones you're least able to save. And if you're limited in your resources, then triage. You have to decide who's going to live and who's going to die, and that's among the most difficult problems in the world for anybody. Somebody's got to make that decision. Unfortunately.
Yeah, one of the big ignorant messages going around, that really has gotten me upset is the people that say, let it rage, let it run through society. The sooner we get it through, the sooner everybody can get back to work, the sooner it'll be over with, which is ridiculous. Yeah, death rate goes way up if you don't have medical care available. So
right. That's an insane policy. All right, let's get around to back to this side of the pond, and this time not the West Coast but the East Coast with Surly. He is in Norfolk, Virginia. Okay, and he'll fill us in hopefully on what's happening in his neighborhood these days. Surly, what's going on?
What I was telling Keith earlier, what's going on in my neighborhood is people don't have the good sense to stay the fuck home. It's a beautiful day, and I was out doing some yard work, and minding my own business, and the street in front of my house is filled with people in their cars going somewhere. Now, I certainly can understand people cooped up working from home want to go out and go somewhere. But where are these folks going? I am occasion to wonder. I also watched a guy across the street come and talk to one of his neighbors on the porch for a while, and they were sort of, they had the door partway open, but he was just hanging out, haranguing them for a while. And I just thought, if he's looking for somebody to talk to and he dares across the street and walk toward me, I'm going to tell him once again to hashtag stay the fuck home. So we were talking about a lockdown, and some states have stay-at-home orders, some states do not. Keith was observing we're only starting essentially to begin that prospect, and absent that, this disease is going to go through populations like a hot knife through butter. Globally, we've already tagged over 700,000 cases. We're at 135,000 cases today. And that, of course, is up from 101,000 yesterday in the U.S. And the day before that, 83,000. So you can, and this is, we're not fully testing. There are plenty of people who are showing signs of disease who can't get a test because they haven't been in contact with anybody who has traveled abroad, or whatever the conditions for the local tests are. Tests are in short supply. There's no idea of a vaccine on the horizon, and
They're
our
worth about
our
$200
overall
a
policy
too.
is madness. What's that? I'm sorry?
They're worth about $200 each, the test.
200.
You know, I mean, it's just something, you know, the $200 to me doesn't mean that people shouldn't get it, but I'm just saying, I'm bringing it up to point out that, you know, it's not as simple as just test or us.
Yeah, but besides that, I mean, who's making that money? The pharmaceutical industry. Somebody is collecting that $200. All right.
Look, if I were showing symptoms, I'd be happy to, find $200 out of my rapidly melting 401k to pay for a test. Not a problem.
Yeah, but you're middle class, Shirley.
What's that?
You're middle class. You're not. I mean, the vast majority of people in the world don't have not in the world, in the USA, don't have a 401k. They live paycheck to paycheck. You know, right now they're probably out of work. They can't afford their fucking rent. How are they going to afford $200 to take a test?
Well, you know, one of the things that Monster was talking about, how they're talking about, do not ventilate orders for older people. This, another way of looking at this is this coronavirus is just the perfect capitalist disease, because it'll amplify the great culling, take the non-productive retirees who are living off their savings off the rolls, and clear the decks for the productive working class who have 40 years left of labor to contribute to people's profits. I mean,
If you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you.